Welcome to our episode of Activation Nation. I'm thrilled to be here with you today, Mindy Trimble, and I'm excited to have Sarah and Chris Smith, EC2s, joining me today and sharing some really fun things with us. We have had the opportunity to be together during a special training that they have attended that they'll talk a little bit more about, and really just dove into some real personal development and just taken it on and really incorporated it into all things. And so I'm excited for everyone to hear from them today and some of their learnings. Welcome, Chris and Sarah.
Hey, Mindy.
Hey, Mindy. Thanks for having us.
Oh, of course. Well, first of all, let's just kind of start off just giving a tiny bit of background on, I referenced the training that you both joined us here at our office where we had a group of people that were hand selected fly in from kind of all over the US and joined us. Now, these two didn't have to fly in because they're just right in our backyard, which is so fun, and I love that. But joined us for really this kind of awesome training that a small group were able to attend. And I feel like everyone that was there really took a lot away from it. Tell me kind of, first of all, what made you guys want to apply and join this training, and then how it was for you.
Okay, awesome. Well, the training, the League of Leaders, Chris and I have been in the business now for 13 years. And when we first started, never having been in network marketing before, we were hungry, we were eager to kind of learn how to really move in this business, how to grow a team, how to plug into a system, right? I mean, that was one of the biggest shifts from working a traditional kind of self-employed position. My background is in the healing arts. Chris is, he was in contracting and also kind of an endurance athlete. So we were kind of put into this industry having no experience and really said yes to one of the biggest things that changed our life. So 13 years in, kind of moving through the personal growth and development that it really took us to get to these executive ranks. It was the perfect time to join the Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. We were looking exactly of what is it going to take us to get to presidential? Like, what are those next steps? And we found that this personal growth piece, the leadership development, how we can grow in this executive space was like critical to really looking at our habits and really becoming effective leaders. So we were excited to kind of just jump in, dive in, and really take our business to that next level, which, as we know, this business is truly like 90% mindset and 10% skills, right? So that's what we, kind of were excited about with joining this training at corporate headquarters.
Oh, that's really cool. What about you, Chris? How do you feel like the experience was for you?
Yeah, I really had a great experience with it, and it might have been potentially something we would have not attended because Sarah and I had both pursued personal growth in our lives prior to becoming involved in LifeVantage and network marketing. So it's something that we had already seen as critical, and I might have crossed off the list of, hey, this is work I do all the time and have done for a long time.
Yeah.
But one aspect of it was, hey, the company's going to throw their weight behind this, so it's here. Would love to go check it out and see what it's about. What I liked about it is around these habits is it's kind of a lift where you stand. I think anyone in the company, no matter where they are in their personal development journey, have done zero personal development or been something they've been pursuing for a long time, they can walk into something principle-based with these habits and again, get to work where they need the work. It's something that I do like principle-based stuff. I've always been apprehensive to hand personal development to our teams because it's difficult out there. It's an ocean of stuff to find a one size fits all. I mean, some people need to go walk hot coals and other people need to, read a book and do other things. So I
Absolutely.
like this because it really is principle based and it gives people a platform, and it almost is, I'd say, one size fits all when you're talking about building a foundation of
Yeah,
personal
kind of
growth. So
meets
great
people.
job. Yeah. Picking out a program.
Yeah, kind of meets people where they're at and allows you to fill in whatever gaps are there for you. And that looks a little different for everyone.
Absolutely.
Well, tell me, we've been talking quite a bit. Like I've been talking with both of you about this and in other conversations about being proactive, which is can I think be defined in a lot of different ways. But tell me, what do you feel like being proactive, and you kind of mentioned, that you've always been involved in and taken personal development very seriously and incorporated it into your lives even before attending this training, and even probably, I think you mentioned, even before joining LifeVantage. So it's something that's been a part of your lives for a long time. But what does being proactive and leveling up mean to you?
Yeah, I think I know for us, it's like being proactive is really being the example for our team that we want to see. Being proactive is really helping a brand new person develop the language of creating like uncapped possibility, right? I
Mhm.
think in a path that somebody has in their career, they're very limited by the number of hours they work in the week, maybe how much money they can make, those types of things. And I think for us, it's being proactive is really like helping people dream,
Mm.
putting together like a 90-day run, like really looking into the future of what someone is wanting in their life and developing a game plan, and certainly attending events. So I'm going to throw this over to Chris. He has some really good points as well.
I like it.
Yeah. I think for us being there, there's so many, it's just a few simple things that you do in network marketing. And for us, part of that is demonstrating those things. So being proactive is as soon as an event is put up on the calendar, we're registered for that event
Mm.
as leaders in our group. You can't really, you don't have a stance to effectively promote if you're not already registered for that event, and gathering our other leaders to do the same and kind of get their calendars planned out, for the next business quarter. Something that, being both of us being self-employed before we came into network marketing, we kind of lived by the calendar, but we do understand that, if you come from more of an employee background, a lot of your week is really already planned for you, laid out for you. So, it's really about accepting the fact that, yeah, we're not all at that same starting point with all of these habits, and just trying to model for our team what being proactive looks like. And,
Absolutely.
and again,
And I
centered around that one principle of, hey, we have events to attend and let's do these things once they come up on the calendar.
Absolutely. And I think that can be a real challenge, and maybe you guys can and share if you felt like this was a challenging thing for you or not with this in this industry is really you have to learn how to make your own schedule, because like you said, if you work in an office, a lot of your calendar, a lot of your time is already made up for you. But in this industry, with being self-employed, you really are creating your own schedule. And if you kind of sit back and wait for things to happen, not a lot happens.
Right.
And so
So true.
I think it's so prevalent in this business of, we're talking about being proactive is you have to really be willing to kind of step outside and create rather than wait for it to happen,
Right.
right? And that can be challenging and also empowering at the same time. Have you guys felt that since
Yeah,
being in this
absolutely.
industry?
Because, what we really are promoting here is like, while you have your life going on and maybe your career, we're talking about working the nooks and crannies with people so that they feel empowered to have that balance. Like, yeah, you're going to have to sacrifice. It's setting the expectations properly. It's giving people the right path for them with the amount of hours that they need to work. So, as leaders, it's always, for us creating the structure for them to fulfill on, like a power hour or a team call where you're orienting for the week. Strategies for, individual phone calls where we're strategizing, hey, if you have this many hours in the week, what one call or two calls are you going to plug into to keep your business going? And it really is about locking arms and like transferring the stance, kind of our posture in what we know. We're bulletproof, right? So I think for that brand new person, overcoming those challenges with them is really letting them know there's a team behind them,
Yeah.
and structures in place for them to plug into to really take that 1 hour out of the day and make it an income producing activity.
Yeah. So if you two had, like, let's say what would you say are your top 3 to 5 specific items or habits that you would share with your team and say these are the most important things to help you to stay proactive rather than procrastinating or rather than getting into bad habits? Like, these are the top 3 to 5 things that you have to do every day or that we'd recommend you do every day to stay proactive and start and create really good habits in this business.
Yeah, great question. The one thing that has to be done, I think, is to have a calendar, and then step two, or part A of that, is to actually abide by it. And then again, I'm more principle based. I don't really get into dictating to people how they should do something, but as far as what to do, I try to, my mentors condense that down for me, again, in a very just few things that we need to do. So the calendar and
Yeah.
sticking to it. So I'll just give an example of how I would go through that. Some people like electronic calendars or whatever, but I actually have a paper calendar, but then I have a blank notebook with that. And that notebook actually becomes a record of what I did. The calendar is what I'm supposed to do this week. And I need to constantly check in with that, especially on a daily basis. I would tell people, ask that question, who am I supposed to show up for big time today and tomorrow? But then have some kind of accountability. It might be just yourself. If you need a partner, get one, but have some accountability. Hey, did I actually stick to that calendar? Did I, yeah, I bought a ticket and said I was going to go to the event, but did I actually go? Kind
Yeah.
of a thing. So I think that's really, really important. And I think consistency is another thing, to be proactive, but then ultimately demonstrate that through consistency over time, not, hey, sometimes here and sometimes not, kind of thing. And again, that goes back to being accountable to that calendar. And then probably, and I'll hand it over to Sarah here to round out a couple more points, but really staying in control of our own business. And you had asked that question before, Mindy, about not waiting for other people.
Mhm.
Don't wait. That's the advice I would give to people, to be proactive. Don't wait for your upline or your downline. And we were taught that, and it was modeled to us first. So, for example, we were going to build a team and put a lot of people in a living room, and someone flew to our state to come meet us. And we were taught when that happens down in our group, not to wait for someone downline to go check it out, or wait for our upline to go. If our business was going to grow, then we'd need to go do that. For other people, it might be if someone needs to create that Facebook group, if someone needs to create the monthly meeting, you need to step up and do that, as far as being proactive and not wait, again, as you noted, for your upline, downline. And I'll leave it to Sarah for a couple more
Yeah,
tips.
those were great. And I think too, it's putting in the non-negotiables that create a little bit of balance in your life. Like, where are you plugging in your personal growth and development? And that could be your journaling. It could be meditation. It could be, reading 10 pages of a book with your 75 hard that you've taken on. Like, I think it's really important to have that little time during the day to just expand your mind as you're plugging in and creating your week.
Yeah.
with your, kind of with your sponsors and with your team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a common thing that I heard, I think, from both of you is as a leader, and maybe this was demonstrated to you, which is great and handed down, is having an accountability partner and being that as a leader, like saying like, hey, it's important to create these schedules and to create, even though you're maybe not going into an office, have office hours, you know,
Hmm.
and having someone that kind of helps you be accountable to that as you're developing that habit and trying to
Yes.
get into that groove. So I love that you've done that, and I hope that, I'm sure that it is very appreciated.
Yeah. I mean, we really love the accountability in our group, and we recommend too that when creating accountability, there's a start time and an end date. And then you
Yeah.
reassess, because
Mhm.
that's kind of the problem with accountability long term, is that you might fall out of it, you might get a little slippery with your actions, finding people that kind of make you sweat that you want to show up to. And then create a start time and an end time so that you can really stay within that and commit.
Yeah,
Because when you're looking at it long term and really working it in the nooks and crannies of your life, that's kind of what you need to do.
yeah. Well, let's kind of shift a little. I want to ask you just how do you guys create, because we've talked a lot about, almost a kind of a time management piece of it, and how you create being proactive and taking charge of your schedule and of life and doing those things and trying to create balance, because as we all know, it's not always just about work, right? Like, uh, there are other factors and other things that take up time in our life. How have you guys found the best way, or what do you feel like is the best way that you found so far in creating balance with your personal growth and work, and also your personal life and just everyday responsibilities? Because I know that the both of you have a lot of habits. You have great habits. A lot of you have a lot of hobbies. The both of you have a lot of hobbies, children, home, all the things that take our attention, animals, all the things
Mhm.
that go on. How have you best found keeping that personal growth and business balanced with everything else? And how do you help your team members find that also?
Yeah. I I do it. I To help the team members. I'll start with that. Is just simply sharing my journey and then being a good listener when I can, knowing that my journey. I don't feel like I'm qualified to personally coach people, in that way. So hopefully they get something from my journey in that. But what I do share with them is that it is a balancing act, and when you're doing something like that, or if you're juggling, if you pictured that, if you're going to juggle for 10 years or something, it's something you're constantly making adjustments
Yeah.
on.
Yep.
And so, just to give an analogy, and this isn't my analogy, I actually heard this on a podcast with a CEO talking, and he was relating to how hard you would work in a business, either getting a new job with a company or maybe starting your LifeVantage business and balancing your job. I was a general contractor, and Sarah owned a massage therapy office. He likened that your long term journey in that to being in a triathlon where you start out swimming, and then you bike, and then you run. But the swim is very chaotic, and people are pushing you underwater and kicking you and stuff. And he said you got to work really, really, really hard if you want to do well in a triathlon in the beginning, to give
Mhm.
yourself a little bit of open water. And there's some imbalance. You're in oxygen debt doing that, but you are not going to hold that pace specifically for the entire triathlon. You want to get yourself clear. So that's what I believe you have to do with your personal growth, your personal life, how hard you have to work in LifeVantage, how hard you have to work in your career, how much time you can put into your hobbies, and where you have to sacrifice. And that's going to change from your year one in your network marketing business to year 10. And you're going to make constant course corrections and adjustments on the way. But the goal is a short-term sacrifice for some long-term balance in your life. And that's what we're all kind of going for here.
Oh, I love that. Short-term sacrifice for long-term balance. That's a great one.
Absolutely. And I think, for us personally, it has changed. I think what Chris was alluding to is like in the beginning, we were all about the sacrifice and going, in between one job to the next to one living room and learning it, and it was this focus of that. And our daughter was at a certain age and our life was at a certain place. And like as we've, moved through this, we're focusing on different things. Like I am focused right now on making sure I'm at every meet that our daughter is running in right now. Like she's crushing it in the cross country end. So it's like that, I want to make sure that's in there. But how I manage the balance is I have a DMO, a daily method of operation, that I will plug into every single day, no matter what. And it's taking that 1 hour to make sure I check all the boxes. Who have I reached out to? Is there a new seed or a new prospect planted? How are my consultants doing? How are my customers doing? And really kind of going around kind of this, 1 hour, kind of have I checked those boxes so that I get that part in. Because unless we're really satisfied with right where we are, then, and we know we have a bigger goal, we have to be inviting and enrolling. And we have to kind of lift our head up and look ahead for the team and the vision of where we headed. And, it's that shift in looking kind of pulling your head up and looking ahead for what's next and what do we need to put in place for our team to track to a presidential team. So I think there's a lot going on there, and it does shift and change, just like Chris mentioned.
Yeah, all the time, right? And being open to really just kind of moving and pivoting with those shifts and with
Mhm.
the changes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's just kind of round this out. I would love to hear what kind of, based off of some of the things we've talked about, based off of maybe the learnings that you walked away from after doing the seven habits training, what challenge would you give our listeners today about really proactively leveling up in their own personal lives?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think
No
it does.
pressure.
I think it does start with that calendar. And this is a lift where you stand thing, is really challenging yourself, looking back at each day and then at the end of each week to really say, uh, did I do what I said I was going to do? And a lot of times it's easier, again, accountability partner, when you make that commitment, whatever it is, to someone else.
Mhm.
You're more likely to show up for that running partner, but it might be a little easier to sleep in if there's no one there to show up to. But I think looking back, some people are really good at self accountability. So whatever it takes, but looking back and saying, am I, uh, have I been accountable? Did I do what I said I was going to do? I think that's a great challenge. And I think the place to really focus the lens is where you don't have the accountability partners, when it is
Yeah.
just you and your own word to yourself, and say, hey, was I able to keep those really important commitments to me,
Yeah.
last week or last month?
Mhm.
That's a great challenge, as to looking at where do you want to be then tomorrow, next week, and next month.
I like that.
Exactly. And I think leveling up is like, how many people am I in front of putting the LifeVantage message out to? How many people have I, it's like, how many presentations have you done? And so what I like to do is look at, am I doing what I say? Like Chris said, am I registered for the next 2 events? Am
Mm.
I, showing up? Am I staying in control? Am I, really just looking at, promotion? So I think it's really just holding these principles, up and really looking in the mirror and saying like, how am I showing up in this business? How am I showing up for my family? How am I showing up for my team? And leveling up looks like, okay, where am I missing in that based on my goals? So again, I feel like the challenge is kind of looking in the mirror, really getting clear and being honest with what you're doing. Are you getting ready to get ready? Are you actually doing the work, which is, adding names to your list and inviting people to presentations and, all of these things, following up, like the key things that are actually driving the distribution of these products and the team growth. I think it's just huge to really look at yourself and figure out where you need to be focused. And that's the challenge. Just be
Yeah.
honest with yourself and find the places that you could use a little more work and get 1% better every day.
Yeah. Well, so what I'm hearing is a lot of self-reflection, a lot of asking yourself, am I doing what I committed to?
Mhm.
Am I showing up? Am I doing all the things? And then also asking yourself, okay, maybe I did here, but maybe I was lacking a little here. Where can I improve?
Yeah.
What small spaces can I get a little better at? I love that, Sarah, that you said, how can I improve even just 1% each day?
Yep.
What can I get just a little bit better at each day? And that's where real growth, I think, happens over time, is when you're looking at what can I do today to be a little better?
That's right.
I love that. Oh, well, thank you so much, Chris and Sarah. I am so glad that you were able to join me today and join our listeners so that they were able to learn from just, the great example and great leaders that I know that both of you are.
Oh,
And
thank you.
it's been an absolute pleasure. So thanks for joining us. And I hope that you all join us next week on Activation Nation. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Activation Nation podcast. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for future episodes and updates, and share with a friend or prospect that you think could benefit from today's conversation. Check the episode description for any links or disclaimers, and we'll see you next week for another episode. And now, the legal stuff. The sales earnings disclosed are potential gross earnings and do not account for expenses incurred in building a business. The average 12-month earnings of a typical U.S. consultant who earned in 2024 are $683. LifeVantage does not guarantee any income or rank success. A consultant's earnings will depend on individual diligence, work effort, and market conditions. Visit the LifeVantage Income Disclosure Statement for more information.